Oh, go away, Dusty. I've just started. Yeah, you. Hello, and welcome to a rather fantastical video called Paul's Reading. What? What is Paul's Reading, you might be wondering? I'll tell you what it is. It is video series in which I read. Yep. There won't be much of this, really. This is just sort of a test video first. I'd rather read fan fictions of stuff, because they're more... Oh, sorry. Because they're more silly and weird and funny, I guess. I don't know. Something like that. But, yeah, this is just a test video. And I'm reading A Descent into the Maelstrom by Edgar Allan Poe. Yes, I am. So I hope you're ready. I'm going to read it quite dramatically. We had now reached the summit of the loftiest crag. For some minutes the old man seemed too much exhausted to speak. "Not long ago," he said at length, "and I could have guided you on this route as well as the youngest of my sons. But about 3 years past, there happened to me an event such as never happened to mortal man, or at least such as no man ever survived to tell of. Fuck! I've messed up already, sorry. And the 6 hours of deadly terror which I then endured have broken me up, body and soul. You suppose me a very old man, but I am not. It took less than a single day to change these hairs from a jetty black to white. Why is that funny? To weaken my limbs, and to unstring my nerves. Ow! So that I tremble at the least exertion, and am frightened at a shadow. Do you know, I can scarcely look over this little cliff without getting giddy." The little cliff upon whose edge he had so carelessly thrown himself down to rest, that the weightier portion of his body hung over it. What? Well, he was only kept from falling by the tenure of his elbow on its oh, fuck this! The tenure of his elbow on its extreme and slippery edge. This little cliff arose, a sheer unobstructed precipice of black shining rock, some 15 or 1600 feet from the world of crags beneath us. Nothing would have tempted me to within half a dozen yards of its brink. In truth, so deeply was I excited by the perilous position of my companion, that I fell at full length upon the ground, clung to the shrubs around me, and dared not even glance upward at the sky, while I struggled in vain to divest myself from the idea that the very foundations of the mountain were in danger from the fury of the winds. It was long before I could reason myself into sufficient courage to sit up and look out into the distance. "You must get over these fancies," said the guide, "for I have brought you here that you might have the best possible view of the scene of that event I mentioned, and to tell you the whole story with the spot just under your eye. We are now," he continued in that particularizing manner which distinguished him, "we are now close upon the Norwegian coast, in the 68th degree of latitude, in the great province of Nordland, and in the dreary district of Lofoden. Hello! What was that? There's a parrot. The mountain upon whose top we sit is Helsagen the Cloudy. Sounds like a character from Oblivion. Now raise yourself up a little higher. Hold on to the grass if you feel giddy, so, and look out beyond the belt of vapour beneath us into the sea." I looked dizzily, and beheld a wide expanse of ocean, whose waters wore so inky a hue as to bring at once my mind the Nubian geographer's account of the Mare Tenebrarum, a panorama more deplorably desolate no human imagination can conceive. To the right and left, as far as the eye could reach, there lay outstretched like ramparts of the world, lines of horridly black and beetling cliff, whose character of gloom was but the more forcibly illustrated by the surf which reared high up against its white and ghastly crest, howling and shrieking forever, just opposite the promontory upon whose apex we were placed, and at a distance of some 5 or 6 miles out at sea, there was visible a small bleak-looking island, or more properly, its position was discernible through the wilderness of surge in which it was enveloped. About 2 miles nearer the land arose another, smaller size, hideously craggy and barren, and encompassed at various intervals by a cluster of dark rocks. Yeah. The appearance of the ocean in the space between the more distant island and the shore had something very unusual about it, although at the time so strong a gale was blowing landward that a brig in the remote offing lay to under a double-reefed trysail, and constantly plunged her whole hull out of sight. Still there was nothing like a regular swell, but only a short, quick, angry cross-dashing of water in every direction, as well in the teeth of the wind as otherwise. Wind doesn't have teeth. Of foam there was little, except in the immediate vicinity of the rocks. Did we really need to know about the foam? The foam of the ocean near the rocks, is that really crucial to the story? No. "The island in the distance," resumed the old man, "is called by the Norwegians Vurrgh. The one midway is Moscow." Moscow, beep! Yep. "That a mile to the northward is Ambaren. Yonder are Ilsen, Hotholm, Keldhelm, Swaven, and Buckholm. Farther off, between Moscow and Vurrgh, are Otterholm, Flyman, Sandflessen, and Stockholm Syndrome. No, these are the true names of the places, but why it has been thought necessary to name them at all is more than either you or I can understand. I'm so old I'm dying from cough. Do you hear anything? Do you see any change in the water?" We had now been about 10 minutes upon the top of Helseggen, to which we had ascended from the interior of Lofoden, so that we had caught no glimpse of the sea until it had burst upon us from the summit. As the old man spoke, I became aware of a loud and gradually increasing sound, like the moaning of a vast herd of buffaloes upon an American prairie, and at the same moment I perceived that what seamen term... What? At the same moment that I perceived that what seamen term the chopping character of the ocean beneath us, was rapidly changing into a current which set to the eastward. Even while I gazed, this current acquired a monstrous velocity, like a velociraptor. Each moment added to its speed, to its headlong impetuosity. Yeah. In 5 minutes the whole sea as far as Vurrgh was lashed into ungovernable fury, but it was between Moscow and the coast that the main uproar held its sway. Here the vast bed of the waters, seamed and scarred into 1,000 conflicting channels, burst suddenly into frenzied convulsion, heaving, boiling, hissing, gyrating in gigantic innumerable vortices, and all whirling and plunging on to the eastward, with a rapidity which water never elsewhere assumes except in precipitous descents. Jimmy! I think that's the end of this part.